Hello everybody, CVM here with another Versus Video Deck Tech, joined once again by BBD. Brian Braun doing.
Yeah.
And we're battling with actual factual Khans of Tarkir cards this time. So you don't have to try and read my chicken scratch.
I don't think this is factual. I think people are really opinionated on him. I don't know if it's super factual.
I mean, he's just a real person.
He's
just a guy who loves dragons. Leave him alone.
He doesn't love dragons. He becomes dragons.
Yeah, that's true. So we're battling with a Mardu Planeswalkers deck based off of the one in Patrick Chapin's premium article this week. Basically, we have Thoughtseize and Hero's Downfall, like every deck that has access to black mana in it's going to have. But to supplement the control aspects, we've gone ahead and gone with just a bunch of Planeswalkers, which allows us to also use End Hostilities as another way to control the field. So I found a lot of times the one-for-one removal strategy that you use when you're base black can get quickly outpaced by decks that get to a point that they're casting multiple threats in a turn against you, and End Hostilities allows us just to kind of clean up at that point once they start trying to outpace all of our one-for-one removal. Another card that lets us catch back up at that point is Read the Bones, and the Planeswalkers are all just very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Sarkhan is good at killing other Planeswalkers in cards like Courser of Kufix. Elspeth is just a powerhouse. We all know how good Elspeth is. Chandra is good at keeping cards flowing. Liliana is good at getting rid of their cards. And then we have Sorin just as a way I wanted to try it. So in Chapin's list, he had like 3 Chandras and 4 Elspeths. And I kind of just wanted to try out a Sorin. It's just a way to continually produce threats that are good against other Planeswalkers. It's also a way just to gain back some life, since we do have Read the Bones and some fetch lands in our deck, along with Thoughtseize. So I definitely want to be able to gain life.
Yeah.
We do have 1 Despise and a Bile-Blight, an Empty the Pits, and an Utter End. I like to use a lot of one-ofs and like first drafts of decks that I'm using when I start playtesting, just to figure out if they're good or not. I think Empty the Pits has the potential to be very good in a deck like this, so I want to try one out in the main deck. Same thing with Bile-Blight. I want to see if I need it, even though I'm playing alongside Chain to the Rocks. So we're just playing a few one-ofs just to see how the cards perform.
Yeah, I think that's definitely valuable, especially when you have a card like Liliana Vess in your deck as well.
Yeah. Being
able to tutor up a one-of that's super powerful in a situation is pretty relevant.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Chain to the Rocks, you might see here we have quite a few mountains in our actual deck. Actually, I only have 4 mountains, but I do have 4 Bloodstained Mires that can let us get it, and 3 old Country Evolving Wilds. So we have all of these fetch lands, all these lands that come into play tapped and give us multiple colors of mana, and we've just decided to play Evolving Wilds. Chapin did have it in his article, reason being that it can give us an actual mountain for Chain to the Rocks. Whether it's worth going through all those hoops for it, I don't know, but we're going to try it out. Worst case scenario, it puts another card in my graveyard to delve with Empty the Pits.
Yep.
It also gives us another way to shuffle if we need to find something that we scry to the bottom early in the game, but we want to draw it later on in the game, which is always a good thing. The last card I want to talk about in the deck is Crackling Doom, which I think hasn't been getting a lot of press. I know you wrote about it being pretty good. Chapin had listed that it was was a good card in his deck, in his article. I feel like Crackling Doom is very, very good and has the potential to end up being one of the defining cards of the format as we move forward. And I'm excited to give it a shot here, as I haven't cast it yet. I've had it cast against me, and it's not very fun.
Yeah, I think I think cards like Sorin and Crackling Doom are very powerful in a aggressive shell. They really complement aggressive creatures or when you already have a board presence. So I'll be very interested to see how they perform in a more controlling shell.
Yeah, they're definitely good. Well, obviously good in an aggressive shell.
Right.
But I am also interested to see how they perform in something like this that is just a bit more passive. We're just kind of hanging out with our Planeswalkers. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sideboard and see what kind of options we have to just destroy a bunch more creatures, since that's what these colors do. All right, everybody, we are back for the sideboard of the Mardu Planeswalkers deck. We have 2 more Despise to go along with the 5 Hand Disruption cards that we have in the main deck, just because when they're good, they're really, really good, so you want as many as you can possibly have.
Polukranos decks.
Polukranos decks, yes. We have a Liliana Vess and an Empty the Pits and an Utter End, just as a way to combat other mid-range decks, other Planeswalker decks. Just cards where we're going to be fighting back and forth a lot for position that aren't actual creatures. And then we have our anti-creature suite with 2 Nyx Fleece Rams, 2 Magma Sprays, 2 Anger of the Gods. We have another Bile Blight, 2 Murderous Cuts, and a Crackling Doom. Since all of these cards are just very good at stopping their Rabble Masters from killing us.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the idea once we get into the post-board games against the creature-heavy decks. Just cut some of our slower top-end type cards, make our deck a little bit leaner, and get to a point where we can cast multiple spells in a turn to handle all of the threats that they're deploying.
Yeah, and I think that Nyx Fleece Ram is really important. I would honestly probably want more than 2, just as one of the things that, like with a deck like this, especially if you're like thought seizing and read the bonesing and things, is that you have no way to gain back that life you lose really over the course of a game. So if your opponent attacks you, gets you down to 8 life, and you stabilize the board, they can still just draw like burn
2
spells.
and you're dead.
Yeah, and if you don't have a fast enough clock to punish them for that, like that's a real thing that Nyx Fleece Ram like helps a lot with.
Yeah, especially, I want to say even more so now since the decks are going to be playing to that. But before, I found a lot of times when I was playing monsters, I would stabilize against like the burn deck or the mono red deck at 11, and then they would just like double stoke strike me and I was dead. Whereas, at 1 point of life stops that completely. So yeah, I definitely could see that.
Yep.
So this is the sideboard for the Mardu Planeswalkers deck. Let's go ahead and jump into the games and see which walkers will prevail in the battle.
I really hope it's Nissa.
I hope not.
That's just mean.